So, Katy Perry just dropped her new single, Band-Aids, and let's just say, this isn't your average breakup song. This feels personal, like really personal. And if you've ever had a relationship that left you second-guessing everything, this one's gonna hit hard. But here's the thing, the real shocker, it might actually reveal the true reason she split from Orlando Bloom. Yeah, the same Orlando Bloom she was engaged to, the same couple we thought was rock solid. Until it wasn't. Now, let's start with that opening lyric, "Hand to God, I promise I tried." That line alone, it's like a gut punch wrapped in honesty. Because when someone says, "I promise I tried," it usually means they've reached the end of their emotional rope. No drama, no anger, just truth. And that's where Katy's head seems to be in this song. It's not about blaming Orlando or painting herself as the victim. It's about acknowledging that sometimes trying isn't enough. But here's where it gets really interesting. The symbolism in the music video. There's a moment where she drops what looks like an engagement ring down the sink. You can't tell me that's an accident. That's cinematic closure. It's a visual metaphor for something valuable slipping away, not because she didn't care, but because maybe she was tired of holding on. And honestly, that moment says more than any interview could. And just when you think the song might settle into heartbreak territory, she twists the knife, but in a strangely calm way. She sings, "It's not what you did, it's what you didn't." That's deep. Because sometimes it's not the big mistakes that end a relationship, it's the small absences, the quiet disappointments, the moments you needed them to show up and they just didn't. I think that's what she's getting at here. Now, pause for a second. Here's a dopamine breadcrumb for you. In the very next scene, she's surrounded by chaos, spilling coffee, dropping things, getting drenched. It's almost like the universe keeps testing her patience. But every time she breaks, she rebuilds. And isn't that just classic Katy Perry energy? The woman who's been knocked down, ridiculed, doubted, and still manages to rise, rhinestones and all? But then she hits us with this line, "Got so used to you letting me down." That's one of those lyrics that quietly crushes you because it's not about anger. It's about fatigue, emotional exhaustion. It's like she's saying, you disappointed me so often that it stopped hurting. And that, honestly, is scarier than heartbreak. Because when you stop feeling the pain, that's when you know the love is gone. Now, this is where my personal take comes in. I don't think Band-Aids is just about one failed romance. I think it's about what happens when love stops being mutual effort and turns into emotional maintenance. Katy's saying you can't just put a Band-Aid over a broken heart. She's calling out the idea of quick fixes, the flowers, the apologies, the grand gestures that mean nothing when the everyday care isn't there. And that's powerful. Then comes the lyric that everyone's quoting right now. No use trying to send flowers now. Whew. That's not just shade, that's closure. It's a message to anyone who thinks they can show up after they've checked out emotionally. Too little, too late. And it lands perfectly because it's so relatable. We've all had someone who suddenly wants to fix things when it's already broken beyond repair. But here's where she surprises everyone. She doesn't stay bitter. The tone shifts. She sings, "On the bright side, we had good times." And suddenly, the song softens. It's like she's exhaling all the resentment and remembering that not everything was pain. That's the nuance I love about Katy's writing here. She's not rewriting history, she's acknowledging both sides, the joy and the heartbreak. And then there's this lyric that everyone's quoting right now. "We were perfect till we weren't." I swear that might be one of the most honest lines she's ever written. Because doesn't that describe most modern relationships? Everything's flawless until suddenly it's not. It's like the illusion breaks and you realize you were holding on to the idea of someone more than the person themselves. Now, pay attention to this part because it's easy to miss, but it's crucial. She sings, "If I had to do it all over again, I would still do it all over again." That's not weakness. That's maturity. She's saying, yes, it hurt, but it was worth it. And honestly, that's one of the most beautiful takeaways from heartbreak, when you can look back and still feel gratitude, not bitterness. And let's talk about the ending. That final scene where she's standing on the train tracks about to get hit and suddenly sees a daisy. For those who don't know, Daisy is also the name of her daughter with Orlando. The symbolism? It's everything. The moment she sees that flower, she dodges the train. Translation, her daughter saved her. Her love for Daisy gave her the strength to survive that emotional crash. And right there, that's not just a music video ending. That's a life metaphor. So, let's connect the dots. Band-Aids isn't a breakup anthem. It's not a breakup diss track. It's a healing journey. It's about acknowledging pain without drowning in it. It's about taking the hit, learning the lesson, and still saying, yeah, I'd do it again. Because love, even when it breaks you, still shapes you. And here's where I think Katy Perry deserves credit. She's been in the public eye for over a decade, constantly reinventing herself, and yet she still manages to show us raw, unfiltered emotion. That's rare in pop music today. The vulnerability, the storytelling, it's giving early Adele vibes mixed with teenage dream nostalgia. But here's what might be the wildest part, the timing. The song dropped on November 6th, right when everyone assumed she'd gone quiet musically. After her Vegas residency and focusing on family, fans weren't expecting a comeback this personal. And the fact that her first song back is essentially a breakup autopsy, that's bold. It's like she's reclaiming her narrative before anyone else can. Now, I'm not saying she's throwing shade at Orlando. Their relationship had beautiful moments. They co-parent, they seem respectful, and she's never spoken badly about him publicly. But through her lyrics, you can feel that she's closing a chapter. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real point. Because closure doesn't always need to be dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet acceptance that things were good until they weren't. And if you ask me, that's growth. Because breakup songs don't always have to end in bitterness. Band-Aids is like emotional alchemy. She's turning pain into art. And that's why it works. It's not just catchy, it's cathartic.